Good morning and welcome to my channel. So this morning I thought, because I've woken up in a bit of a fibromyalgia flare, it's prompted me to do a video on what it is like living with primarily Ehlers Danlos syndrome and fibromyalgia, or chronic illness, chronic pain in general. So yeah, I thought that's what I'd do today. So I'm going to try and have a little bit of a chill and a rest day, obviously, so I'm not feeling the greatest. It's weird because like the past 3 years I've noticed a pattern that from like April, May onwards, throughout the warmer months to probably about October, I tend to have these flare-ups, and then winter time I'm never quite as bad, which is weird. I'm gonna look into that and see if that's like a thing, like a recognised thing. I was wondering if it might be related to hay fever, maybe, and allergies, I don't know. So I'm gonna look into that. So anyway, what my flare-up looks like today is I've woken up, my legs are burning like I've been to the gym burning, and I've not done anything like that. I've not done anything excessively over like out of the ordinary, over what I would usually do exercise wise. I obviously do the school run twice a day, walking, and then I'm up and down the stairs all day in the house doing the housework and stuff, but I've not done anything more excessive than what I usually would. But my legs are absolutely burning, and what tends to happen with me is there'll be like a point of my body that starts with the pain, with the burning pain. So it'd be my legs today, bottom of my legs and my thighs, and it tends to just gradually sorry, baby was just kicking off a bit, wanting a bit of attention. Let me just clean my camera. Better. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, pain, it starts in one part of my body and literally just spreads throughout my body, and it's just like this burning sensation in my muscles, and it moves to my joints, it moves to inside my throat, my eyes, behind my eyes, inside my head. Like I said, the only way I can describe it is like when you've been to the gym, or you know when you have flu and your skin feels sore. It feels like that inside my body, in my eyelids. Sometimes in my teeth feel like it, and my fingernails and my eyelashes. Is the only way that I can put that into words. I was telling the doctors this, and they were just looking at me like I was absolutely crazy. Anyway, in the end, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia as a secondary condition to the h-EDS. So they were basically saying I have fibromyalgia diagnosis, but it's a symptom of or caused by the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But apparently there are quite a few different conditions that can go alongside h-EDS, such as chronic fatigue, which I do get extremely fatigued. Luckily I've not had an attack of that for quite a while. Just don't want to jinx that. And also postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS for short. So that essentially when you stand up, your heart rate raises by more than what it should do. Your body can't compensate for that, so you feel dizzy. It's an autonomic, to do with the autonomic system, but that's often quite common alongside h-EDS as well. I'm not diagnosed with that, but they think that I've got that, so just to counteract that, I'm supposed to drink lots of water and eat more salt. It's basically the treatment for that one, and take it easy and rest. Pint of water at the side of the bed to drink all morning, because I can go extremely dizzy like when I stand up. from sitting, or if I stand up for a long period of time, so like in queues and stuff. So if I'll go into a shop and there's a long queue, as particularly in summer, that I'll struggle with this because the heat sensitivity. I won't queue up because I just know that I'm going to feel faint and dizzy and need to sit down, or I feel like I'm going to pass out. Same if like the heating's on in someone's house or something. I need to have like an ambient temperature. It needs to be between probably about 19 and 21, and if it's any colder than that, I struggle to regulate and get myself warm, and I suffer with Raynaud's syndrome, which is another linked to the EDS. A lot of people who have Ehlers Danlos have Raynaud's as well. And like I say, if it's too hot, then I suffer with the heat intolerance. It's just a bit of a nightmare. Anyway, back to the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So there are 13 types, I believe, at the moment. They've just reclassified them all. So I think there are now 13 types. I couldn't tell you all the different names and the different variations and the different symptoms of all of them. Obviously, I have the Hypermobile EDS, which means I'm a little bit bendy. So, but I'll go into more detail. So basically, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder, and it affects the collagen in your body. So collagen makes up literally pretty much everything. Everyone associates that with skin, but no, it's connective tissue, and it basically makes up everything, which is why the EDS can affect so many different things in your body. So yeah, I've got the hypermobile type, which means, I mean, I'm not supposed to do party tricks as such. Just throwing you down the sofa. Try and balance so I can show you. So things such as hypermobile fingers, whereas my son, who has the hypermobile, his fingers touch the back of his hands. So yeah, bendy fingers. Thumb, which can touch elbows that go backwards. Being able to bend forward, then touch my hands flat on the floor. As you can see, my hands, they're not straight. If I put my hand, if I'm pointing, like, it's not, I'm not pointing straight. It's like hands just bend all over the place. So my hypermobility, the hypermobile side of the EDS, obviously affects joints. So I can get like joint pain. My wrists particularly get injured extremely easily. So I can do, like, it varies as well. So one day I'll be fine and one day I'm not. But like, I can pick up I literally pick up a plate of food and damage my wrist and have to have it in a splint for days, or shut a door. Or when I was working in retail, picked up a blouse on a coat hanger to hang on one of the rails. Did my wrist in for a couple of weeks, but then, like, say, there's no rhyme or reason to it of why you would injure yourself from doing little things like that. So yeah, my wrists are quite bad. My jaw is so bad at the minute. So I have Tmj Dysfunction, which is another diagnosis, but it is part of the Ehlers-Danlos, and a lot of people suffer with that. So it's basically hypermobile jaw and trouble with the jaw joint. But yeah, I'm really struggling with that at the minute. So I'm getting partial dislocations of my jaw, sometimes just from talking. I've got to be careful with what I'm eating at the minute because it's so painful. Same with, I can't open my mouth wide to yawn. There's just, yeah, that's a bad one that I'm struggling with at the minute. Joints wise, my knees have been one of the worst. Like, they were the one that kicked off everything, most of the symptoms when I was younger. So I used to get growing pains in my legs, and my knees used to lock up, and they used to partially dislocate. They would come out, and I knew that they'd come out of place, but the amount of times that my parents took me to the doctors or the hospital, and by the time I'd got there, everything was back to normal, I was just deemed as, oh, it's just growing pains, that's that. And eventually they just stopped taking me. I mean, what can you do, really? They were told that they were neurotic parents. So, yeah, so there was that. There was times at high school where my knee would have come out and I would literally hobble around being unable to straighten my leg for days and days on end, until eventually it unlocked and would go back into place. And I eventually got so used to it that I just stopped complaining about it and just dealt with it and just got on with it. One of my geography teachers used to call me hop along, like taking the mick, but yeah. So that was that. What's the knees? Knees were bad. Ankles are not so bad. You can roll your ankles really easily, but like I say, with the EDS, basically you can injure yourself a lot easier than what anyone else would, and it can take a lot longer to heal. So I rolled my ankle a fair few weeks ago. One of them things that you just roll, not sprained it or strained it or anything, just literally rolled my ankle, and was like, oh, I'll be better in a few days. I think we're 6-7 weeks down the line, and it's still causing me jip. So yeah, that's another part of it, is the ability to injure easily and also heal slowly, particularly like if you've had surgery or you've got a cut or things, and scar really easily as well, like scars from the smallest little thing. Like I have a scar, if I smile you can see it, it's here, there. So that's from an operation that I had when I was 11. And my parents were told if we used the bio oil, the scar would have faded within 6 months, and you wouldn't be able to see it, and it's still there. You can see it there. So that's another thing, the slow healing and the easy scarring. That's an EDS thing. Stretchy skin. Now, I don't think particularly I've got very particularly stretchy skin, but that can be one of the things. Like, I don't think it's super stretchy. I think that's probably about normal. I don't know. I don't think it's... Maybe it is. Not sure. But that's one of the things that's more classic Ehlers-Danlos syndrome rather than the hypermobile one. Although I do think since they've changed the classifications that they might have put that on the hypermobile one. I've not really kept all up to date with it since I've been diagnosed. There's also, as I said, because it affects like the collagen in your body, which literally makes up all of you. It can affect your heart, valves, it can affect your circulatory system, which is another reason why I can go dizzy a lot when I'm stood up, because my veins are so stretchy. I stand up for a long time, veins stretch and the blood pools in my feet, so it can make my blood pressure drop a bit. That's quite common as well with EDS, and the obviously digestive issues, because collagen's there too. So you can suffer with gut dysmotility, so like food moving too slowly along the intestines. IBS can be an issue, which I struggle with. Stomach cramps, bloating, all manner of gastro issues can be apparent with hypermobile EDS. What else? Oh yeah, breathing, like issues with the lungs and stuff, that can also be a thing. I also get really bad tension hook headaches, which is another thing because of the posture. People with EDS tend to have really bad posture because we kind of hang off our ligaments instead of sitting up straight. So you can see how I'm throwing you away again. Oh, now we're upside down. So yeah, you can see how I'm sat. I try to keep good posture, but I'm terrible at it. I really, really am terrible. Every time I get referred to physio, they're like, you need to work on your posture, and I'm like, I know I do, and I try. And when I notice that I'm slouched or I'm slumped or I'm not stood up straight, I do try to straighten myself out. But my muscles are so unused to doing that it really, really hurts. Like, I'll ache my shoulders and aches my back just to stand up straight. But I do need to make a conscious effort to work on that, because the posture can affect a lot as well, and I don't want to get a little hump back. And yeah, posture can be really bad. I was told at one point that I could end up in a wheelchair by the time I'm 40 because of the state of my posture. So I have worked on it. I have tried to be conscious of it, but probably not as much as what I should do. So yeah, and like, I'm not straight, so if I stand up, I'm not straight. My head will be to the side, but I don't know. I feel like I'm straight, or like I think I'm stood up straight, but I'm slanted to the side. I'm all wonky all over the place. So that's a posture thing. That's an EDS thing. As I said, we kind of hang off our ligaments, because I'm not quite sure what the number was, but it's something like, just to be, just to exist, just to stand up or sit down or move, it takes about 10 times more energy for us than it would a normal person, apparently. So yeah, it's a lot of effort just to be. So it's quite tiring. That's why we're tired a lot. That's why, we need to sleep a lot. That's why we get the fatigue, I think, would be just literally anything that we do just takes so much more energy than anyone else. And I also have another couple of things. I've got the vitiligo, which you can see here, which my skin is going whiter than it is. I'm losing the pigment in my skin. Apparently that also can be linked to EDS. There's just so many things, and like, when you look back over the years of problems that I've had, like irregular periods, nosebleeds, headaches, migraines, the hemiplegic migraines, sorry, I literally did nothing and I feel it coming out of joint. It's just ridiculous. It's really playing up lately. Yeah, the hemiplegic migraines, so it's basically when it's like having a stroke, so you get paralysed, and like the first time that happened, I did think I was having a stroke, and I've not had one of those for years. I've had about 3 or 4, but they can be linked to EDS. There's just so many things, but like I say, looking back over the years, and you just have all these little individual diagnoses building up, and I was like, surely something's not right. And then I was just so exhausted and in so much pain. I started taking myself back to the doctors, and they kept just focusing on each individual symptom. A lot of the time I was told, oh, it's your hormones, that's why you're so tired, that's causing you the problems. There was times I was told, oh, it's because you're a mum, it's just because you're a mum, you're tired, you're running around after the kids. And I'm like, no, it's literally, I can walk upstairs and I'm exhausted, I have to sit down and rest for like 5-10 minutes when I'm bad with the fatigue. Or like, there's times where I've literally been folding, washing, and I'd fallen asleep like slumped forward, folding washing, sat on the bedroom floor and fallen asleep and woken up hours later. And I was told, oh, it's just because you're a mum and you're looking after the youngsters, that's why you're so tired. And with the pain and stuff, like being asked, oh, have you had any traumatic experiences? Because then they think it's all in your head. And like that is one of the main things, like, oh, you're just anxious, oh, you're just depressed, oh, it's just your mental health. Oh, it's not my mental health. Like, my joints are literally dislocating. How can that be in my head? Like, honestly, it was just absolutely insane. And then, so in the end, I got referred to rheumatology because I kept pushing and I was like, no, something is not right, something's not right. So I got referred to rheumatology, and they told me that I was hypermobile, which I didn't know. No one had ever picked up on this, and I will have been by this point. So symptoms probably started when I was about 8 or 9, probably younger to be fair. I started taking myself off to the doctors when I was about 18, and by this point that I was like, no, I've had enough, I was 25, and I went and I saw this rheumatologist, and she told me I was hypermobile and might possibly have fibromyalgia alongside that, and she gave me a leaflet and it mentioned Ehlers Danlos syndrome, and I went home and I researched it, and I was like, this is what I've got. Like, it's apparently really, really rare, but it's really not, because I know so many people that have got it, like, in the local area, since meeting up with h-EDS groups and things. Like, I know 2 people really well closely, like, just local to me, that's been diagnosed with it recently. So I was reading up on it, and I went and I spoke to a GP, and she said, oh, you can't have that because it's rare. I was like, right, okay, but like literally all the symptoms I've had for my entire life and all these little diagnoses, just look at the bigger picture and put it together. This is what it is. Oh no, it can't be because it's rare. It's really rare. Like, oh right, okay, so because it's rare, can't have that then. No, nobody can have it. So I was like, do you know what? I'm not taking no for an answer, because I've finally sussed out what it is that's the issue here. Everything just linked together and fell into place. So I went and I spoke to a different GP, and I went in and I said, I want you to look at my medical notes from my whole life, and then I want you to look at this information that I've printed off the h-EDS website, and I want you to tell me that I've not got it, because to me it looks like I have. And he said, okay, go away, come back in 2 weeks' time, I will look through your medical history and I will see, and we'll see what comes of it. And I went back and he went, I agree with you. He says, I think 100% think that that's what you've got. I'm going to refer you to a specialist rheumatologist and we're going to see what they say. And I was referred, and they she's not even finished asking all the questions that she was asking. I took my mum with me for backup. I thought I might need it. She's not even finished asking everything, and she went, you've got h-EDS, you've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, haven't you? Like, matter of fact, like, oh, you've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I was like, right. And she said, it was really lucky because the rheumatologist that I'd been sent to, her husband and her daughter had it, so she knew straight away the symptoms as soon as I started talking. So yeah, my husband and my daughter have that. That's what you've got. I'm going to refer you to genetics just to double check that it's not one of the dodgy versions that can be like much more serious. So I don't want to come across as like that the hypermobile h-EDS isn't serious, because it can be. Like, I've got quite a mild case of it, But some people have it really, really bad, and it does really affect them. And I mean, it does really affect me, but my case is mild. Some people like literally dislocate hundreds of times a day, which I don't. So that's really lucky. But then there's some of the other types, like the vascular EDS, for example, like things can rupture, and it's really dangerous. And then there's other types. So she wanted me to go to genetics and make sure that it wasn't one of the more serious types, because back in history of the family, like someone had suffered an aneurysm and stuff. So she was like, oh, I just need to make sure. So they sent me off to genetics, so I had to do like loads of like searching through the family for stuff. But anyway, when I got there, they were like, well, from history that you've told us, it's on your paternal side and your maternal side. So you had pretty much very little chance of getting it, because there's a 50% chance of inheriting it from your parents. So obviously both of my parents had it, which doesn't make it a 100% chance. But it was a very small chance that I wouldn't have got it. So yeah, like looking back, it's obvious that particularly my nana on my dad's side had it. I mean, like at nearly 70, she could still bend forward and touch her hands flat to the floor, and stuff like that. And she had troubles with her knees, she had trouble with her ears, which is another thing. Ear trouble, eye trouble, severe short-sightedness, tinnitus, Meniere's, labyrinthitis, things like that. They can all be linked in with EDS as well. It's just so many things. Like, I'm not saying just because you have that one thing, but like, I think I was reading this thing that was like, well, if you can't connect to the issues, think connective tissues, which I thought was quite apt, because why would someone have so many different diagnoses and so many different things wrong with them if there wasn't like one main thing causing it? But in medical school, doctors are not really told to think outside of the box. It's like, go for the, what do they say? Because they call us zebras, because we have Ehlers Danlos syndrome. They call us zebras, and that's because in medical school, doctors are told if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. You know, don't think automatically for the rare. Go for what, you know, you would. So they don't necessarily think outside of the box and go think, oh, maybe it could be one of these more rarer diagnoses. So yeah, anyway, I digress. It turned out that it was on both sides of my family, so there was little chance that I wouldn't have it. There's no genetic testing for hypermobile EDS. I think they're working on trying to find the gene that causes it, but at the minute it's all clinical observations. So they do a few little tests, take your, like, basically your medical history, make you bend about a bit, and yeah, so I got the diagnosis, and instantly it was like relief, because it's not all in my head. All those years of having all these things, and it wasn't in my head. Like they kept telling me it wasn't just because of my hormones, it wasn't because I'm a mum, it wasn't because I'm depressed. Although a few of, you know, people with chronic pain do suffer from depression, and particularly with Ehlers Danlos syndrome, with anxiety, because mainly I think of people not believing us, but also because we can have a hypersensitivity to the adrenaline that we produce. A very, very small event can cause us to produce a lot of adrenaline, so we'll be constantly on edge and constantly feel anxious. Now that's one thing I've managed to kind of calmed down on lately. I'm not as anxious. I try and maintain a certain level of calm because I suffered so badly with anxiety before, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't good, but I didn't realise that was linked in with it as well. So yeah, I felt relieved, and I also felt upset because my son, who was 7, 8, probably 8 at the time, had been complaining of aching legs for quite a while, and I'd been putting that down to growing pains. And I went home and I sat down and I thought about all the things that my son had been complaining about, and I thought he's got it as well. And he was diagnosed with hypermobile spectrum disorder less than a year after I got my diagnosis, because there was no way that I was not getting him the treatment that he needed early on. I didn't want him going all the way through life not knowing, particularly because as you get to like adolescence, your symptoms can get a lot worse with hormones and stuff. So yeah, he got his diagnosis and he got his physio and he got his occupational therapy and he got things put in place pretty quick. So he needs to do exercises every day for the rest of his life. Now he's 16 and he most likely doesn't, and but I can't still make him do that now and sit him down and make him do his physio every day. But at least he knows, what it is that's causing his pain and his easy injuries and his partial dislocations. Like he used to sit and dislocate his thumb and his jaw just for fun when he was younger. Like obviously we put a stop to that. And yeah, he's had dislocations and he's had injuries and stuff, but at least he knows what's causing it and he knows the exercises that he needs to do, when he's in pain, to strengthen and stretch out his muscles. And yeah, so that was our diagnosis, and then kind of basically that's it. You get diagnosed, you get referred to physio, you get given a few hints and tips on what to do with your life, you get prescribed painkillers if you need them, and that's that. Nothing more they can really do. I mean, they did my heart scan just to make sure that I didn't have any of the dodgy valves or anything, which I don't, which is good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing you can really do for it. So you get the diagnosis and you're like, oh, finally I know what's wrong, and then you hit with, I'm actually never going to get better from this. This is it, like, for the rest of my life. And it's not a progressive illness, but as you get older and you get less mobile, things are going to get worse, because obviously you need to keep exercising and things to keep your joints strong and your muscles strong. You need to keep your muscles strong to keep your joints more stable. So as you get older and things get weaker and things get more lax, you need to make more of an effort, which obviously you probably don't. I mean, I don't know because I'm not an old lady yet, but I can imagine it will get a lot worse as I'm like into my 60s, 70s or whatever. So it's never going to get better anyway. There's not a cure for it. It's never going to get better. The only way it can go is stay the same or get worse. So you've got to get your head around that. So that's not the best the best feeling to get your head round. But yeah, I got shown the physio exercises that I need to do, so I do them, try and do them as much as I can. Like, it's hard when you're so busy and you do forget, but I do my physio exercises. Painkillers when I need them. At the minute, obviously, because I'm breastfeeding, I can't make them take paracetamol, so the stronger pain relief that I was relying on before, I am not relying on now. I don't have that. So yeah, that's pretty much all they can do. Manage the symptoms, try and strengthen you up a bit with physio and exercise. But saying that, on the other hand, because it's so tiring doing these things, you need to pace yourself as well. You can't just go and think, oh, I'm going to start exercising. Like, you've got to build it up really, really gradually, and there's only certain exercises that you can do. Like, you can't do high impact because of your joints, so it's all got to be like gentle, maybe a bit of resistance, like swimming and stuff. That's good. Like weights. But I can't go for a jog. Can't think, oh, I'll go for a jog. Can't go for a jog. My knees will probably pop out. Like, I used to love sprinting at high school. I used to absolutely love it. I used to love athletics, and that was the main cause of my knees coming out. Like, once I was running the 400 meters and both knees dislocated. So yeah, that was fun. So yeah, just management, physio, that's about it. And the pacing. So the pacing is so difficult to do. Like, you've got to pace yourself, because if you wake up on a good day and you do everything, like look around the house and think, oh, shithole, better blitz it, better get it all done, and then you've done all the housework, you've got everything sorted, you've done it top to bottom, you're still doing the school run on top of that, you're still looking after the little ones on top of that, then you've got your cooking to do, you've got your dogs to walk, you've got your garden to tend to, you've got your friends to visit, and then the next day, because you've got up and done all that on your good day, the next day, that's it, boom, you can't do anything. So like, you're either stuck in bed or stuck on the sofa, or you've caused yourself a flare up, or you've caused yourself an injury. But it's so tempting to do that, because when you've had a few bad days where you've not been able to get much done, then you want to get everything done when you've got a good day. But obviously it's like a catch-22, because then you make yourself more poorly again. So you've got to pace yourself, which is really, like I say, it's hard to do. It's hard to get your head round, and I struggle with it still. And I was diagnosed 8 years ago, so I do try. I try to sit down. My husband will just say to me, Delana, just sit down and rest. But I just feel like I need to constantly be doing something. So yeah, pacing's difficult. But one of the tips that one of the occupational therapists gave me was ad break cleaning. So rest, if you need to rest, like if it's a bad day, particularly, it's a bad day, but you still need to get stuff done. You can't just do nothing, because obviously stuff needs doing and it'll pile up. And also on a bad day, even though, like, as bad as it is and you don't want to move and you don't want to get up and do things, like, moving actually helps. So like, ad break cleaning was like top tip that my occupational therapist gave me, is sit down. If you're having a chill day and you sat on the sofa, sit down, watch the TV. Every time an advert comes on, do the cleaning. So like, adverts are on for 2-3 minutes at a time, so just get up and potter for those 2-3 minutes, and then when your program comes back on, come sit back down. And if you do that so many times throughout the day, things are getting done. Like, I didn't realise how much you can actually do within the 2 minutes. So I'd think, oh, I'll go wash up then. Granted, that obviously that would take longer than 2 minutes, but I'd get up, I'd break, I'd come on, oh, I'll go wash up, finish washing up, come sit back down, watch a bit more of my programme, I'd break, come on, or I'll quickly run the hoover around the living room, run that round, come and sit back down. Don't have to be every single ad break that comes on, but when the ad comes on, go and do that bit of cleaning, and that helps with pacing. And things like delegating to others, which is difficult for me because I like things done how I like things done, and nobody does the things how you want them doing. But yeah, so like getting the teenager to do more, and now the 9-year-old to do a little bit more around the house. Not loads, just like keep his bedroom tidy so I don't have to do it. I'll make his bed, I'll put his clothes away. So things like that helps with pacing also. And if you can't pace like on a day, like, so if I've planned a day out, like to go out somewhere, like have the next day booked out as a rest day. Don't plan loads of things in a row. That's another thing, another tip that I've learned to do that works quite well. So yeah, pacing, that's another helpful tip. And then obviously the only other thing that they can do is like if you've got an injury for your joint, just brace it. So like I have wrist braces, which I've not, touch wood, had to use for a couple of years consistently. Like there may be an odd time that I've had to just put it on for a couple of days, but yeah, they've not been a massive thing. Obviously crutches if you have other injuries. I don't like to use them out and about. So when I was pregnant, I was really struggling with pelvic girdle pain, and I have the crutches, and I used them in the house, but not when I went out and about, because I didn't want people looking at me, which is ridiculous really, but probably made myself a little bit worse, and I should have used them. So tools that are given, I should use. So yeah, splints and things like that for joints. But pretty much that's it. There's nothing can be done, and I'm like stressing about my jaw at the minute, because I'm like, I don't know what can be done about that. I'm gonna ring the doctor actually and see, because I'm struggling even speaking and eating. Like I'm trying to keep, like, I don't, you probably can't tell on the video, I don't know, maybe you can tell, I'm trying not to really move this part of my mouth because it hurts so much and it keeps hurting. But that's just management of not opening your mouth wide and stuff anyway. But I don't know, maybe there's something they can do for that. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of anything else that the EDS can cause. Like, I don't suffer with a lot of things that other people do. I know dental issues is a thing, like gum disease, like gum recession, teeth falling out prematurely, gynecological issues, which I do suffer with, things like prolapse and stuff like that. It's all fun and games. I say irregular periods, IBS. There's just so many things it can cause, so many things. But I suppose like things could be worse. I'm not like saying it's really bad. I just wanted to like give I don't know, like an opinion, an account. Yeah, an account, not an opinion, an account of like my diagnosis, how it affects me, how it can affect people. But I mean, I'm not a massive expert on that. But if this helps anyone who's just had a diagnosis or is looking for a diagnosis or just wants to find out a little bit more about EDS, then that's what this little video is for, and hopefully that will have helped a bit. And as I say, there are, you know, different types, and there's different illnesses that could come alongside it. Like the fibro was like, yay, yeah, another one to add to the list, because I mean, like I said in my introduction video, it is a list of stuff, but at least I know why now that I have all these things. At least I know it's not, you know, it's just my body's just the way it is. That's it. Just that's that. So yeah, so I think that is all I have to say about EDS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. But if you do get a diagnosis, or you have a diagnosis and you're feeling lonely, get on eds.org, because they have some really good support groups, and I've met some really nice friends, and there's some groups on Facebook, I'll link these in the description, and there's EhlersDanlos.com as well. EhlersDanlos.org? I don't know. I'll put them in the description. Because Lava Bloom has done so much work. And then obviously Ehlers Danlos UK. There's the charities, and you know that, like I say, the support groups that meet in person. Like you can sign up as a membership. I think you just pay once for the full year, and they send you like loads of information out. And yeah, there's the support groups, and I've met some really good friends, and like we had a few meetups like back in the beginning, like loads. We don't really generally meet up as much since, because the coordinator in our local area left, so the meetings stopped running, so we kind of tailed off of contact with seeing each other in person, but we do still keep in contact on Facebook, and it is really nice just to have that little bit of support like when you need it. So definitely do that. I wouldn't advise joining fibromyalgia groups. They are depressive. Like the EDS groups are like helpful and giving the tips, and they just seem more supportive. I don't know what it is like about the fibro ones. They're just like, whoa, bring you down. I don't know. Focus on the bad stuff rather than focusing on the getting you like giving you help. I don't know. I wouldn't advise joining those unless you find a really good one. I don't know. I've not found one that's been much use to me, to be honest. Oh, and stress can make it worse. Stress can make it worse, like the symptoms, like especially the fibro bit of it. Because don't forget, like they've told me that I have fibromyalgia as a symptom of EDS, because literally translated, fibromyalgia means muscle pain. So yeah, I have the muscle pain, the burning sensation, and the tingling, and the numbness, and the brain fog, and all that as a symptom of EDS, which is another point that I just wanted to put out there. Is a lot of people are misdiagnosed with fibromyalgia when they actually have Ehlers-Danlos. That's like a really common thing, and it's becoming more apparent and more known. Professor Graham, who's like way up there, is like a top doctor in the Ehlers-Danlos community. Was like probably 75% of people that have fibromyalgia diagnosis actually have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and don't know. So that's worth mentioning as well. I was the other way, but I got the EDS diagnosis first, and the fibromyalgia added as an extra a few years later. I think that was about 2 years ago. After my new burning symptoms developed. So yeah, I think that's it. Like I say, I hope that's kind of helped. I know it's been a little bit of a ramble, and it's been kind of all over the place, and I dropped the phone twice. I had to go see the baby. But yeah, I hope that's been informative and a little bit of help if, like I say, if you're looking for the diagnosis, or you're looking for an explanation of your symptoms, or you just wanted to know a little bit more about what EDS is. So yes, that's all. And if you know any questions, just bob them in the comments, and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.